everybody, it's Safi and Marco, Dish on the Movies, and this is our long-awaited review of Saw 10, Saw X, which is called El Juego del Miedo, which means the game of fear. And I thought, when I saw that, I thought, what is going on here? I was surprised that it was in Spanish, but that just makes it more intriguing.
Really?
I guess so.
The movie intrigued you? So what?
The title was in Spanish, and I thought, what's going on here? I was perplexed. And I thought, okay, it's just a kind of something to make it interesting to say, what's going to happen next? And why was it in Spanish?
John is going to get diarrhea from drinking Mexican water.
No, you don't drink Mexican water. But
in fact, that should have been... He should have done more with, like, Mexican-themed traps. Like, he should have been like, hey, person, you want to play a game? In front of you is a bottle of Mexican water, and you have to drink it so that you have diarrhea, and then the diarrhea will be the key.
Well,
right? Like, he could have done that, because it's true.
Well, when you watch the beginning of the movie, you don't expect there to be any traps in Mexico, because it's not about that. It doesn't start out that way. That's like the second half of the movie. The first half is something completely different, but it takes place in Mexico. Well, it takes place at home, and then in Mexico.
Yeah, we won't give the movie away until after we give the food review, since this is a new release movie. So we'll just kind of go through it a little bit and kind of just say what we thought and what was good and what was bad, and then we'll do the food review, and then we'll talk about spoilers.
Okay, well, I do want to say, and I won't say why, but it's very important, because this doesn't happen in every movie. It seems to happen quite a bit in modern movies, but it's very important to watch the credits, the end credits, the post credits, because there's a special scene at the end, and you really, in context of the story, you really have to watch it. So I just wanted to make sure that
the post credit scene is one of the better scenes of the movie. Actually, it was one of the, because it was like, ooh, that was cool. Like, well, it felt like, rather than, a lot of these Saw movies where it ends and it just ends like a Debbie Downer ending, you watch this post-credit scene and it's like, ooh, that's really cool.
Yeah.
Ooh. It's like a treat. It's like when you order stuff out of a magazine like candy, and then they give you like an extra box of candy, and it's like, ooh, that's something. Ooh.
Yeah, it is. It's good for more than one reason.
And that's what post-credit scenes should be. They shouldn't be this thing where it's like, okay, every movie has to have a post-credit scene, and they just kind of feel like they're forced, and they have to be this way and that way, and it's just always like the same scene of like two characters meeting, two characters talking about doing something. It's just always so stupid and predictable, these stupid post-credit scenes. And this was like a good post-credit scene.
I do want to say, because we have been starting to watch the Friday the 13th series.
Ugh.
Since we're almost done with the Jigsaw series, we were waiting for this final movie. And the Jigsaw series, now, I really don't like this. Some of the violence really is, I can't even, watch. I just have to close my eyes. I mean, I can still hear everything. But the Friday the 13th series is kind of like, it's very like juvenile and simplistic.
Yeah.
And the Jigsaw series, despite, the violence, it's a lot more sophisticated and thought out, and adult.
It feels more like a movie, these movies. And it doesn't just feel like the same story being told over and over again.
Yeah, we've...
Like with Friday the 13th.
For the other series, the Friday the 13th, we've only seen... Well, Marco, I guess, has seen all of them, but...
Well, let's see. I've seen 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7, 9, and Freddy vs. Jason. And the remake. I haven't seen Part 6 because I saw the opening scene and I hated it, and I don't want to watch it, but I'm forced to. And then I have not seen Jason Goes to Hell because I heard it was terrible, and I have not seen Jason X because I heard it was terrible. But other than that, I've seen them.
And I guess I should really save anything else I have to say about it. Because we're going to be ranking all these Saw movies.
Yeah.
And I might say some more things when we do that. But,
really?
Anyway, I've only seen the 2 Friday the 13th movies so far. I mean, I haven't ever seen any of the others. I think this series, since we've seen all the Saw movies now,
and I would say that it's a better series.
Yeah.
After having seen all those Friday the 13ths already.
And I do want to say too,
especially
that
this one.
We've seen the latest Scream movie. We've seen the latest Halloween movie.
Ugh.
We've seen, and we see some.
Well, this week we will be watching that horrible Exorcist movie.
Oh, God.
By the people who are responsible for the horrible Halloween movies.
But just for those 2 series of movies, Halloween and Scream, they're so poor and so terribly made and just thoughtless compared to this. This was actually a really good movie.
Yeah.
And
it was a movie.
It was kind of surprising too, because it really doesn't take place now, because if you watched it on the movie, he's dead. The guy who played Jigsaw is dead. His helper Amanda's dead, etc. And this is a movie that would take place in amongst those other older movies when they're alive.
Yeah.
So
the movie, I guess we should say what it's about and then say what we thought about it and then kind of go through it a little bit more, I guess, although there's not a lot to go through, even if we were doing spoilers. So the movie's about Jigsaw. And if you remember in Part 6, he discussed with the health insurance guy that there was a special treatment in Norway.
Oh, yeah.
And that was the treatment he was talking about, is shown in this movie.
That's right.
But this one is run by the guy's daughter. Because the guy is like on the run or something, and he's not available, and Jigsaw John has to go to Mexico, and he's got to eat Mexican Cheetos and drink Mexican water and go through this Mexican treatment.
Well, but the person, the guy, the Norway guy, he has a daughter.
Yeah, and she's Norwegian too. And she's very scary.
She's down there in Mexico. Well, it'll be all Mexicans working with her, but she is from Norway. She's leading it, the team.
She is terrifying.
Mexicans.
And so he goes there and he gets this treatment, and it just seems like a fairy tale. It just seems like, he goes there and everyone's so nice, and it's just like, oh, this is perfect, and and la 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 la.
And he's going to be perfect in the whole world, and he's going to live to be 1,000 years old. I mean...
Yeah, she's like, I hope you live a long life.
And I just thought...
like, she was
I
just
was
so...
like, if this is real, it just seems too good to be true. And
yeah.
I don't know why he wouldn't have been suspicious either. I don't know.
I think this was just a different point for his character. And,
I don't know. I just,
because remember, he was testing Amanda the whole time.
Oh.
And so, like, you know, he might have been suspicious a little bit. I mean...
But I don't think a lot. I don't know, because you never know about him, because he's met so many crappy people. Been around so many people who are nefarious, or they just have weird motives, or they're just bad, and it's really hard to say. But I thought that he fell for it, that they were serious. But I just
he kind of did.
Yeah, it's hard to say. But
the key
it looked
is
like it.
the key is that whenever you think that Jigsaw doesn't know, he knows.
Right.
Like, whenever you think that Jigsaw doesn't... And I guess this was one instance in his whole career where he was legitimately fooled and really, like, heartbroken. And so then he gets Amanda, and they put these people from the scam in a saw trap. In a saw trap house, I guess you would call it, a warehouse place with a bunch of saw traps.
Yeah, but I think it's really important to say how did he find out about these people? Shouldn't we say that at least?
Well, he just called up Detective Hoffman.
No, hon, I'm talking about when he was in the restaurant or the coffee shop getting something to eat or drink or whatever, and he ran into somebody who was in his cancer support group.
Oh, you mean how he found these people to begin with?
Yeah.
Yeah, there was like a guy from the support group, and he said that he got their treatment and it worked.
And he even showed him, he said it was a mixture of surgery and a cocktail of different medicines. And he showed even in public, in a restaurant that was full of people, or a coffee shop, I guess, he lifts up his shirt and shows this weird-looking scar on his abdomen going up to his chest. And he had pancreatic cancer stage 4, which, knowing people in life who've had that, it's a horribly miserable sickness. So, and he said that he hadn't seen him since the support group, and he said, and he explained where he went and what they did. And so that's what got him into knowing about these people, the Norwegian woman, doctor. So I just wanted to make sure that you did, because he didn't just look him up in the phone book. He actually had a testimonial from a fellow cancer support group person. So he believed him.
Well, so in general, I felt like the movie was very good.
Yeah, I did too.
It was very, very, very good.
It seemed calm too, which is really weird. Well, when people are fighting their traps, it always gets a little bit harried.
It was really well paced. It wasn't too slow or too long.
No.
Even though I think it's one of the longer films of the series, it doesn't feel like that at all.
No, it doesn't.
I thought that it was satisfying as a Saw fan. It was satisfying just as a horror fan. The thing is that I feel like now that we've gone through the Saw movies again, you know, the Saw series is really misunderstood because these movies are pretty good. Like, overall, like, there's only, like, 2 of them that I would never really watch again, or 3 of them. But other than that, like, I could imagine watching the other ones, so... because they're good. They're enjoyable. And the thing about this, like, you know, there's been 2 controversies that people have lobbied against this series. Number 1 is that it's just violence for the sake of violence, and it's pornographic how much violence there is. Well, I just think that's a bunch of bullshit because, the violence is a part of the point. Like these injuries that people go through, and these traps. It's not like they have a little tiny stab on their hand. It's like, no, they have to go through something. That's the whole point of it. And then number two, like, compared to the Friday the 13th series, I mean, Friday the 13th is the series where it's just violence for the sake of violence. Like, the violence in this series actually makes sense and feels like it's necessary. Wouldn't you agree, Safi?
Well, I guess so. But
I mean, come on, like...
He says to the doctor at the beginning, she says, well, what do you do exactly? And he says, I'm a civil engineer and an architect, which I thought was interesting because I never really heard that before.
Oh, really? Everyone else did.
I thought he was some kind of engineer, but he calls himself an architect too. And then, quote, I help people make positive changes in their lives. That's what he says.
Yeah, I thought all that dialogue was funny and good, that little conversation. But anyways, back to talking about the movie as a whole. Another series that they have lobbied against the series is that all the movies after the first one are completely unnecessary because it's just overstaying its welcome, obviously, because... why make more than one movie? Because it's, the first movie is the best one, obviously, because the first one's always the best, and it's like, I dare people to watch this movie and then say, like, the first one should have been the only one, because, like, how could you say that? You have the second one, the sixth one, the fifth one, this one, and it's like, really?
And they really try to make an effort in some of them to make them different. Like, for example, the one movie they made, what was it, 7?
The one movie they made?
The person who said he was a victim of one of the saw traps and got loose, and he was recovering, and they had kind of a support group, and he wrote a book, and it was all fake. He never was never in a saw trap.
Saw 3D.
And then that's what I thought, he has to go through it with all these people who, like, the wife is the end, and then all these, like, his lawyer, like a publicist, all the way through. And that's a different take. I thought that was, even though it's not one of the best ones, because of the 3D crap that they inserted all over the place, which was just,
But it's not necessary. Like,
I know,
like
it wasn't. But
it's not necessary because, like, the people who made the first movie, they made the second and third movie, but that wasn't necessary either because, nothing past the first movie is necessary.
I see. Well, I just thought it was interesting. They made an effort to try to turn the story completely around to where the person wasn't actually a victim. And you would never think, I mean, if you've seen any of the movies, those traps are really, I mean, you really have to make a big effort to get out of them. It isn't easy, and you usually have to hurt yourself in some way. And for somebody to make that up and then pass that off, I just thought it was an interesting take. So they played around with different ideas, but they've been very sophisticated, I think, about it. So compared to, I think the reason why somebody might say those things because they look at something like Halloween and Scream, which, yes, they have overstayed the welcome because what they're coming up with just isn't anything that furthers the story in a positive, their stories in a positive way.
Yeah.
So maybe they think because Saw is doing the same thing, making different sequels, that it's the same thing for them, but it's not. They're a lot better. In fact,
and this one is a prime example because I never would have expected this after Spiral. Spiral was so terrible, it was such an abysmal failure. And I was like, I'm not even looking forward to the next Saw movie because what can they do? They've gone Chris Rock level now,
Well, you know
and
what I
so
think is they
it's
saw
over.
that and they didn't think it was good either, the outcome, and they decided to go back to the basics.
Well, I think so, and I think it's a smart. This movie just showcases how to make a horror sequel, because it's a crowd pleaser. It has a great story. It has great characters for the most part. It's got great blood, great kills,
And it all takes place in Mexico.
great music.
Mexico City, I guess.
There's a couple of movies that it reminds me of. Like, one of them would be Logan. It felt kind of like Logan, where, they realized they fucked up with Logan. They gave him a terrible costume. Instead of giving him the costume that he wears in the comics, like what the comic fans want, they're like, no, let's put Wolverine in jeans and a wife-beater shirt, because that's more realistic. And then, like, let's remove all the blood from when Wolverine slashes through people with his fucking claws, because we have to appeal to the 4 quadrants, and the 4 quadrants can't see R-rated movies. And with this and with Logan, they're like, fuck that shit. Let's put all the blood and guts in there. Let's tell a really good story and give Logan what he deserves. And that's exactly what this movie was. It was like the Saw movie that we deserved after Chris Rock.
And, I just want to say, we've been through this before with Chris Rock, because we watched his venture as a drama person in Fargo, in one of the latest Fargo series, actually. I guess there's a new one coming out, but the one that supposedly took place in Kansas City, which was sad because, like I said, people from Kansas City appreciate anything good that comes their way. We've been so lucky to have the Chiefs, but anyway, we think he's a good comedian. I think he is, and I've always appreciated his comedy. I think he's great, and it's not easy to be a comedian. But as far as the other things, his venture into being a drama person, he hasn't been very good. It's almost hard to take him seriously, and I know he's trying to be serious. I'm not saying he's I don't know how you want to say it, defacing the part or something, because he's just a complete comedy person. No, he really is.
Well, anyways, back to Saw X. This movie I thought was really good, and I could watch it again right now. Another thing it reminded me of, not really any specific example, but there's always like that one TV show episode where, it's at like episode 10 out of 13, and then at episode 10 they give you like the origin episode of like, or the standalone, like where there's a standalone story where the main character, you see him in the past, and it's just a really solid story and because this is written so well, because they know everything that's going to happen after this, so there's a lot of like hinting and teasing and kind of like going, look at that relationship there and how that's going to change, and look at that there and how that's going to change. And so this is a perfect Saw movie, in my opinion.
I think it is. To me it seems so calm. Even though in the second half of it there's a lot of hairy kind of trauma, stressful scenes, but it seems very calmly put together in a good story. So.
Oh, Safi, what's your food rating for Saw X?
Oh, God.
The best horror sequel of the year.
Wow. Well, I guess I'll just give it a Swiss steak dinner. which I make Swiss steak and mashed potatoes and gravy and a vegetable like green beans or broccoli, just a full meal, and you just make it and then you eat it and you feel full and you feel happy that you ate a good meal. And so it's like you just saw a good movie and you're even almost shocked because, I mean, compared to some of these other series, and then the last one with Chris Rock was terrible. You didn't know what to expect. You didn't in fact, you thought it might not be good. So, it was surprising. Very surprising.
It was surprising.
And refreshing that it was a good sequel this late in the game. 10.
Yeah, it's the 10th movie.
One. Yeah.
In fact, I don't know if there's another sequel where the 10th movie was any good.
I know.
Children of the Corn.
Oh, God. Oh, God. There's another.
Well, wait. With Children of the Corn...
just got worse and worse. It's like they had a big dummy that had all kinds of pieces to it, and they just took off a piece here and a piece here and an arm there and a leg there.
Let's see.
Till there was nothing
1,
left,
2,
and it was just awful.
3, 4,
They've
5,
11.
6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Well, okay, actually, Children of the Corn Runaway wasn't that bad. It was like an indie movie. It was like an indie horror movie that shouldn't have been a Children of the Corn movie. It had a couple of really good ideas that it didn't actually explore, and so that was unfortunate, but it was pretty bad. It wasn't a great movie like Saw X. And then let's see with Puppet Master. Ugh. There's a... Well, you keep talking, Safi, because I want to discover what the 10th Puppet Master is. 1, 2, 3...
Well, I'm glad that it was a good movie. I mean, we've watched 2 of the Friday 13th. We have a lot more to go. And then we watched all of these, spent the last couple weeks watching all of these Saw movies where we were waiting for this to come out. And,
oh God, well I think that the 10th Puppet Master movie is actually the worst one. Puppet Master X, Axis Rising.
Oh God.
With it was just a movie about a Nazi woman who has big boobs.
Yeah.
And she's got boobs. Like, that's all it was. It was legitimately like one of the worst movies we've ever seen.
Yeah.
So there you go. Like, I think there's only 2 series where we've seen 10 movies in the series, and they're both terrible.
Yeah.
So, Saw X might be the first movie in history. Well, actually, no. The 10th James Bond movie might be good. I wouldn't know. But yeah, first 10th movie that's actually good.
Well, I think in those James Bond movies, different people take over and the making of it, and then so it's
still a 10th movie though. Like, it's still
that's true.
In order. There's 10 movies, and so that's the 10th one.
So anyway,
is that hard to understand? What about my food review?
What is your food review?
Yeah, Safi.
You were looking up Puppet Master, so.
Well, I had to. It reminded me of the mac and cheese, the Cheetos mac and cheese that was really gross.
And
remember that?
And I've seen those.
And I could just remember the taste and the smell.
Oh God!
It was awful.
Oh.
And it was cold too because it was so long. It was like a marathon. So.
Oh God.
Well, let's see. I would say probably. Well, there was this one place in Chicago.
Why do you say that?
That's the name. That's the name of the place. There was this.
Like Chicago.
There was this one place when we went there in 2019 to go to a convention that we were supposed to go to this year in Texas, and Remember that, Safi?
Yeah, I do. I have a non-refundable rail ticket, two non-refundable rail tickets equaling $2,000.
Yeah, they didn't excuse a legitimate excuse.
That was the insurance we had to pay for the tickets that didn't go through either.
The lesson is don't get insurance because...
Well, no, that's not true. The lesson is
it
don't
didn't
get
do anything.
non-refundable any kind of tickets.
We had a legitimate excuse and they didn't care.
Yeah.
So there was this one place in Chicago that we got food from, or I got food from myself, and it was called the Sandlot. And for some reason it was like a restaurant based off of the movie Sandlot, or like it was just named after it or something. I didn't really understand the theme and the name, but it was called the Sandlot. And it was just burgers, fries, and shakes, and hot dogs, I think. And it was just really classic, good food. And I just thought, I'm really hungry because I think it was like late in the afternoon, and I hadn't had any lunch, and all there was to eat at the convention was what, Safi? Because you ate it.
Oh God.
You ate it.
All they had. One thing they had was beer.
Yeah, they just had tons of beer.
Weird. I didn't want any beer.
Like, you want to walk around for hours at a comic convention? Here, drink some beer.
And there's a lot of kids there, too. I mean, there are a lot of people there who weren't even 21. They wouldn't be allowed to have the beer.
Drink some beer so you can be dehydrated.
Oh, God.
While you're walking for hours at a convention.
What did they have? Was it hot dogs or hamburgers or some? I don't know. I found one thing. I couldn't believe it. It stuck out. I can't even remember what it was. I think it was some
pretzel.
No, I don't know.
Was
there was
it a
some
pretzel?
kind of chicken or no? It was some kind of meat.
Ew.
And I was like, I couldn't believe it.
Was it a mystery meat?
No, it was. I don't know. I can't even remember because I do remember all the beer stands, and I'm like, what in the heck?
It was really weird.
I didn't like that at all.
I was surprised. I thought I could get lunch there, and I couldn't.
I was looking forward to that, actually.
And so, when I got back from the convention, I got the Sandlot, and it was really, really good. It was surprisingly good, and it's probably one of the top, burger fast food meals I've ever had. It was delicious. The shake was perfect. The fries were perfect. The burger was perfect. It was perfect. And it just felt like such a refreshing thing to, order something from a fast food place, and it's really, really good. Because, nowadays it's like you order from a fast food place, and it's like playing Russian roulette.
It's a hit and miss thing. It's not consistent. It's inconsistent, except... Well, I haven't been to KFC in a while, but all the years that I was going where I was sick and didn't want to eat anything, they were always consistently good. So.
Yeah, Safi loves fried chicken.
But I haven't been there in a while because we've been trying to.
Do you like watermelon too, Safi?
Nuts. We've been trying not to spend as much money going out.
But you get a $5 fill-up at KFC. You get a $5 fill-up.
I don't know what you're talking about.
When you go to KFC, you get a $5 fill-up. That's $5.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Well, I don't think it's $5 anymore. I think it's $6 something. But anyway,
well,
that's what I got confused. But I don't know. We haven't been there in a few months.
Yeah.
So we've been trying to because we got gypped at $2,000. That's a big loss.
Yeah. And so anyways, now for spoilers. I would say one spoiler to discuss is the post-credit scene. We get to see Detective Hoffman again. And he helps Jigsaw put Himri, the fake patient, inside a saw trap. And I really liked that scene a lot. I thought it was one of the best scenes of the movie. Because Detective Hoffman... I guess the actor, he learned how to act in the time that he's been away from
He
the.
was very relaxed and easygoing. I think he even smiled.
Yeah, he smiled.
He was more like Michael Myers before when he was in the earlier movies.
In the other movies, he just made that same face
Yeah, he
the
just
whole
made
movie.
the same face. That's why it
And
reminded me of Michael Myers.
He learned to act.
Yeah.
That was pretty funny. I wonder who taught him how to act. Who do you think taught him?
I don't know. Maybe he went to class.
Morgan Freeman?
I don't know. I don't understand where you're getting at.
Oh, wouldn't that be funny to see Morgan Freeman with the actor who plays Detective Hoffman teaching him how to act?
I don't know.
That'd be pretty hilarious.
I
Because
don't know.
it'd be such a mismatched duo.
We're talking about the pancreatic cancer guy. That's
No, I'm
in
not.
The end.
I'm not calling him Morgan Freeman.
No, Marco, the patient they're putting in the saw trap. I just want to make sure you understand that. At the very beginning, that convinces anybody else in the group actually too, and Saul. But see, he was recovering when he saw Jigsaw, and he convinces him without much effort to go try these people in Norway.
Yeah. And so other spoilers would be there's a certain point where the bad guys, the main two bad guys, this guy who's actually isn't he another fake patient?
Yes.
He's a fake patient, and he's also...
But he meets him there when he goes to have his surgery in Mexico. He walks into the building. He goes in and meets all the assistants and people like the anesthesiologist and all these other people. And on the way to do that, he meets this patient who's just had his surgery, and he had a bandage on his throat. And so he thinks he's another patient, and he's not. He's a fake.
He's actually the boyfriend of the daughter. And they get together and they basically take over and they put Amanda and Jigsaw in the traps. And one part of the movie that I really didn't like, well, I didn't like it in terms of it was terrible, it was very evil, was they killed this innocent woman who actually made it through her trap. Gabriella.
Mm-hmm.
The daughter kills her, and I thought, you know, that was a big no. She's gonna pay for that. Jigsaw, whenever Jigsaw looks like he's in a compromised position, that's always when you know that you're gonna get fucked up. Like it never looks like Jigsaw has the upper hand, but he always has the upper hand. And in this case, it turned out that and then they bring in this kid. And I really liked, too, like Safi said with the sixth one, I really liked how we got to see all these people before they were in saw traps. Like, we saw them all just walking around doing what they do in their daily lives. Right, Safi?
Yeah. We saw them playing the assistants and the anesthesiologist, etc. But then we saw them when they got captured by Saul and Amanda, and one drove a cab, and then the patient who they thought he was a patient, he came knocking at the door of the place where they had all these people captive, and he said that he was there because he knew they were all frauds, and he was coming there to collect his money. How he knew to go to that building, well, we find out because the woman called him. She actually had her cell phone. I don't know how that worked, but maybe they knew she had the cell phone and they wanted to trap both of them.
Yeah, they did. That was the twist at the end, was that they knew about him and they wanted to trap him too. And so then they set up this, I guess, wasn't that like a fake trap kind of? The thing with, they put that innocent little boy with him, with a jigsaw, they put them in the saw trap, and basically all that happens is that, didn't they just get blood poured all over them?
I don't know.
Poured
I
all
thought
over
that
them?
was oil. I don't know what it was.
Yeah, I didn't know what it was. I thought maybe it was blood, but It just looked like barbecue sauce. It looked like they were
Well, maybe that's what it was.
putting barbecue sauce on the chicken.
Yeah. And it would go back and forth, and you each had a lever, and Jigsaw had a lever, and he would pull it, and it would make him get it, and then the little boy had a lever, and he would pull it, and he would get it, and Jigsaw would, and it would go back and forth.
But it seemed kind of like a fake trap, like a trap that wasn't really going to do anything.
I don't know.
Because they didn't act like they were that fucked up at the end. They just acted like...
Their faces were dirty.
Yeah.
Clothes were dirty.
It was all basically a setup to get the two other people to go into this office where they thought the money was, and then they get locked in there. And I thought that was the best trap of the movie, was the trap where the scary gas releases in that office.
Well, there's a bag, and they think the money's in the bag. And when she it's up on a shelf or on top of a filing cabinet, and as soon as she picks it up, it sets off this trap. And that's when this gas starts getting released into the room.
And there's this little hole that you can stick your head through to breathe the good air. But only one of them can do that. And so they start killing each other. And I really loved that. I thought that was easily the best trap of the movie. That was really cool. That was definitely like my favorite part of the movie too.
Well, Jigsaw too, when he found out that they were together, he said, he told the guy, he said, that woman is gonna go against you. She's not really. She'll go against you the first moment she can do it, and she did.
Yeah,
they play it too. They play that.
She was ruthless in this movie.
Yeah, she was.
She was the perfect, I would say probably the best villain that Jigsaw has ever gone up against. The best character. Because she is so evil. She makes him look like Mary Poppins. Kinda.
She's heartless. She is heartless, which is really weird because she's supposed to be a doctor.
Yeah.
And they have an oath. Well, she's from Norway, but I'm sure their oaths.
The Norwegian oath.
Which I wouldn't, because they're very social. The Norwegians,
the Norwegian health
they're very
oath.
They're very social service oriented.
Let's look at what the official oath is.
Oh, it's the same thing.
No.
That's a Hippocratic oath.
I don't know if it says that. I think it's just because I say oath in the search that they assume that that's what I'm looking for.
Oh.
Uh-oh. Did Norwegians not take the Hippocratic oath?
I don't believe that.
Uh-oh. Well, that explains the whole movie, guys.
I don't believe it.
That explains everything. Anyways, and one last thing would be that I really loved Amanda in this movie. As you guys know, I was not a fan of her at all in the third one. I felt like they really ruined her character after the second one. And frankly, this felt like the movie that I would have wanted to watch after the second one. It felt like the one where, we get to see her work with him and, it all goes as planned. Not like in the third one where she's like, fuck you. Fuck you. I'm going to do what I want. I'm going to kill who I want, and I'm just an evil psychopath. It was a lot better. Her character was a lot better to me. Safi?
Oh, I didn't like her hair.
Well, her hair was bad, but...
I don't know if that was a wig or if that was a real hair. I did not like her haircut.
I don't want to know. I
shouldn't say anything. I can't help it.
I just thought...
Sorry.
I thought, like, it should... Because in each movie, she's had, like, a different hairstyle, I think. And I thought they should have given her, like, a different hairstyle, like a fun hairstyle that looks better than what that was.
I call it helmet head.
I call it Saints Row character preset model hair. The video game, Safi.
Oh.
Because it looked like a video game where, like, you have the character presets and then you can change it to what you want and not something that looks really bad like that.
Probably what you could do is look her up as an actress, see if they have the latest pictures, see if that really that was just a wig for the movie. I saw a
Let's
picture
look her
of
up.
Meryl Streep and Anne Hathaway. It was some kind of special, I don't know, anniversary, because they did the Devil Wears Prada, and she had on.
Well, let's look if she has any Saw X interviews. Oh, well, there you go.
Yeah.
Yeah, she looks a lot better.
It must have been a wig, because they had to do a lot of.
And then you look at her in Saw X. Let's see Saw X picture. Where is it?
Her head was like, the hair was just like glued to her head. Yeah, there it is. But you can't see it very well because it's a very dark photograph.
They kind of make her look like the girl from The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo.
I didn't think that looked bad.
What?
I thought she looked the girl with the dragon tattoo.
But it just reminds me of that. But I know that looked a lot better.
Yeah, it did.
I guess they had to stay in continuity with what it was supposed to be. But I didn't mind it because it's been some years, and just stuff happens. It didn't affect the quality of the movie.
No, not at all. Not at all.
Like with Halloween 2018, where that girl was dressed like a boy. Remember that, Safi?
Yes, and that didn't bother me at all.
That was
we
bad.
should get over it.
That was really bad. She was dressed like a boy.
It was a costume for a Halloween party.
So what?
Oh, Marco, he's so silly.
She never takes off her clothes.
Look, I don't care.
Well, she's had other movies where she's taken off all her clothes, but then for some reason in the big Halloween movie they can't do that because that's not acceptable anymore.
I don't know. That movie was not very good, so.
Well, none of them were.
No.
Well,
after a certain point, no.
So anyway, Saw X was perfect. I would highly recommend it. It was also kind of like Unforgiven. It was Jigsaw's Unforgiven, right, Safi?
I guess.
Yeah.
I thought it was good though for a sequel. I mean, like I said, we've seen all these major horror movie franchise sequels up to this, number of sequels. And this is the best one I think we've ever seen.
Of what? of what?
Jigsaw.
It's the best Saw movie ever?
No, the best. I'm talking about the best sequel.
But
in this late stage, Saw 10.
Okay, it's the best 10th movie in a series. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I was gonna say, like, if you said it's the best sequel, then it would automatically be the best Saw movie. Because number one is Saw 2 for both of us. Spoiler alert.
Yeah. Now we're still going to. Now we're going to have to rank everything, so we'll see how it fits in with the mix.
It's tough because like it could change over time a little bit. Like Saw 6 has been out since 2009, and so there's been time for me to like think about it and more time for Safi. But with Saw X, we just saw it, so now we have to rank it, and it's based on our like fresh impression and not really with taking time into account.
Well, you can tell, he's 81 years old.
And he did a really good job, by the way, in this movie.
All you people
he was amazing.
About this age BS. He did an excellent job. He does look a little haggard. But of course, he's sick, too.
Yeah,
so you can let that go because he's sick.
He really redeemed... And he really redeemed himself after being in that shitty Eileen Wuornos movie with a girl from Cobra Kai.
I don't know anything about it.
Yeah, you do. You watched it.
You talking about that? That was when he was younger.
No, it wasn't.
Whatever. You talking about what was on TV a few nights ago?
No, Eileen Wuornos, American Boogie Woman. You watched that in 2021. He was in that movie.
He was also in this older
that movie was bad.
was also in this older movie. I'd never seen. I'm like, oh my God, that's Jigsaw. He played a detective. It was oh God, something about the babysitter, and it was like a Lifetime movie. And
see, Safi? I mean, that movie was bad.
Oh.
And so he really redeemed himself after that movie. Like, that movie was really, really bad.
Oh, this is where he's God, he could probably be 20 or 30 years younger. It's, the woman's in that Pie movie with Andy Griffith, and she was in that series where she got her hair cut and everybody had a fit. She was the babysitter, and her hair her hair was extremely long. And they
Is there a part where she makes pie for Jigsaw?
No, he was a detective. And
I want to play a game. You have to make pie, but there's no pie ingredients in the kitchen.
I don't know who ended up being the killer, but the wife of the people she worked for got murdered, and I think the husband did it, but I never saw the end of it. And the detective thought it was the babysitter. The babysitter didn't do it. She discovered her body.
Did you do it?
But she, I think she was having an affair. She started having an affair with the father. So, anyway, he was in that. I was shocked because it was many years ago. But anyway, he did an excellent job. It was a good sequel. Go see it. And we don't say that a lot.
Yeah, we never say go to the theater.
We don't say go see the movie.
I think I did say to go see John Wick, which I would probably say now that just don't, because it's like 4 hours, and the first hour is like painful to get through before the 2 good hours of the movie. And then I did recommend seeing Dungeons and Dragons and Gran Turismo. And I would still say both of those movies I would recommend, and this one too.
Okay. Well, so if you like this video, give it a thumbs up and become one of our subscribers. We welcome all new subscribers, and we're interested in hearing your feedback about this movie and also other things as well. And we will be ranking all the Saw movies very, very shortly. So, goodbye, everybody.
Bye!